Good morning, dear learners. Today we'll discuss about brand positioning, right? It is very important that one should be aware about the brand, right? If you want to position about your brand, right? If you want to position your brand in the minds of customer, it is important that one should create that the marketer should create the awareness about the brand, right? What is the awareness? Awareness refers to the strength of the brand's presence in consumer minds, right? How strongly that your brand is in the mind of the consumer, right? Whether at the time of purchase, consumer can recall your brand or not, right? And the awareness is measured, that the brand awareness is measured in different ways in which the consumer remember a brand, ranging from recognition to recall, right? So how that is the how strongly that brand is present in the brand or is present in the mind of the consumer. You can check it through the various ways, in the different ways. It can be measured in the different ways. It could range from recognition to recall. At time, the brand recognition is so strong that it becomes the generic name for the product category, right? That the recognition, that is recognition, is that brand, that the brand became the that brand became the generic name of that category, like Xerox machine. Xerox is a company, right? But photostat machine has become the Xerox machine or the Xerox copy. That brand is that people are aware of that brand, right? So that is the generic, that the when the brand name become the generic name of any of the product, then that is that they can recognize that product, right? They are aware about the product. Same for the Colgate, right? So Colgate become the generic name for any of the toothpaste, right? Next is perceived quality, right? Perceived quality, it is important that the perceived quality, then perceived quality is another factor which plays an important name, which plays an important factor in brand awareness, right? Perceived quality is overall judgment about the quality of the product. That is how the product is. Quality perception cannot be sustained unless the claims are true and substantive, right? So this perception about the quality, it cannot be sustained until the claims are true, right? Whatever the company or the marketer is claiming, that is true and substantive, right? From that is the perceived quality may differ from that of technical or functional performance of the product. Perceived quality is built over a period of time. If the claims and the functional qualities as desired by the consumer are matching, then the quality perception of the product is reinforced, right? And if the quality of the product, that is the quality of the functional qualities as well as the claim quality of the product are matching, right? And then the quality perception of product is reinforced, right? So, and the company may be achieving quality on dimension that consumer do not consider important, right? uh, See, at times company may be achieving a quality on that attribute or on that dimension that consumer do not consider important, right? So and the consumer rely on one or the two cues that they associate with the quality. Thus it is important to understand the little thing that use a basis for making a judgment of the quality, right? So perceived quality is when your product actually, when the quality you claim matches the consumer's perception or the actual quality, same as the claimed quality, then it creates um, then it plays a very important role in brand awareness. And that at times it happens that the marketers or a companies achieve maybe achieving quality on the dimension which the consumer do not consider important, that it is that dimension is not important. And if your quality is if you are improving your quality on that dimension, that hardly impacts the consumer. And the second thing is, at times that the consumer rely on one or two cues that they associate with the quality, right? So it is important to understand all these little things that they use the basis of for making the judgment of the quality, right? On what basis they are making the judgment on the quality, right? And important thing is, because consumer may not know how best to judge a quality, a metaphor uh, or a visual image can help them to see the context correctly. At times it become difficult for the consumer to judge the quality, right? So that the consumer may not know how best to judge the quality, right? So at that time the visual image can play help them to see the context correctly, right? Marketer also make an attempt, especially in case of new product or the services, to educate the consumer regarding the quality indicators and verify they decide before they decide. So at times it may happen that the consumer may not be able to judge the quality or the criteria on which the quality should be judged. So it is important for the marketer to educate the people, right? To educate the consumer regarding the quality indicators, right? Okay. Brand loyalty is very important, right? Brand loyalty is key consideration when placing our value on a brand. That is to be bought or sold, because a highly loyal customer base can be expected to generate a very predictable sales and the profit stream. What is the brand loyalty? Brand loyalty is when a consumer purchases and repurchases the product of the same brand. That is the brand loyalty, and it is an important it is an important key consideration. It is a key consideration when placing a value on a brand, whether the consumers are brand loyal or they switch to other brands, right? So it is a key consideration when placing a value on a brand, how valuable that brand is, right? Where when to bought or sold, the customer and highly loyal customer can be expected to generate a predictable sales. It is less costly to retain the customer than to attract a new ones. The loyalty act as an entry barrier to the competitor. So it is very important that here the customer should be brand loyal, and brand loyalty depends on many things. Brand loyalty, one of the factors on which the brand loyalty depends on the quality. It could be the other factors also, like quality, packaging, color, at times price plays an important role, right? So brand loyalty that is a key factor, right? When placing a value on the brand, right? How a brand equity is created, right? The brand equity starts with building up when the customer have higher brand awareness and brand recognition. What is brand equity? Where you marketer usually say that our brand equity is quite high. Brand equity, it starts building up when the customer have a higher brand awareness and the brand recognition, right? That they are aware about the brand. When the customer is aware about the brand, they can recognize the brand, right? That is the brand awareness, and brand recognition is not sufficient. Consumer should have a strong association of brand, that too favorably and uniquely, right? That is the brand equity. That the brand equity includes that should be aware about the that consumer should be aware about the product, as well as should be loyal about the product, right? Should be that consumer should have brand awareness, as well as should be able to recognize the brand properly, right? And apart from this brand awareness and recognition, the consumer should have a strong associations of the brand, that too favorably and uniquely, right? That is, they should be that consumer should have brand awareness, as well as consumer should be brand loyal. And if consumer have a brand, the higher the brand awareness, the higher the brand loyalty, it increases the brand equity, right? In low involvement product, even brand awareness may be sufficient. But in the high involvement product, a brand association is important, but because the consumer have sufficient motivation to seek more and more information. If product is of low involvement product, where the consumer don't want to spend much of their time, that is, the brand awareness is enough, you are aware about the brand, the consumer can purchase that product. But when the product is high involvement product, right? That is, then the brand association is important, right? Why? Because then consumer has sufficient motivation to seek more and more information, what others are offering, what others are brands are offering. So brand awareness, as well as a motivation, that is uh, uh, the brand loyalty is required, that they should have a brand association, right? Information search and processing, the accumulated information will change the brand association over a period of time, right? So this brand association can change, right? Because when consumer is highly involved in purchasing or making purchasing decision, then they will search for more and the more information, and this information search and processing of the information, or processing of the accumulated information, will change the brand association. They can shift their loyalties over a period of time, right? Association will generate a value when they are strong, right? When they have a strong value with the brand, that is, they are loyal to the brand, right? They don't switch to any other brands when they are favorable, when they are associated, and when they are favorable, that they prefer that brand over any other brand and establish a brand uniqueness, right? So association will generate a value when only a consumer is strongly associated with the brand or favorably, and second is should be favorably associated with the brand, and establish a brand uniqueness, that they feel pride in using that brand, right? Then the association will generate a value, right? Strength of brand association. What are the strength of brand information association? The level of information processing by the consumer determine the strength of brand association. How can you determine the strength of brand association? The level of information processing by the consumer, the information which the level of the information about the brand, right? um, uh, but how informed the consumer is about the brand, that determines the strength of the brand. The nature of the information, the quality and the quantity of information also has impact on the association. More deeply the consumer think about a product, the more will be the brand association. Similarly, the information search will be higher when the brand has more personal relevance. So the strength could be measured by the information processing by the consumer, or the nature of the information, the quality or the quantity of information that impacts the consumers, right? And the information search will be higher when the brand has a personal relevance, right? Favorable brand association. What is favorable brand association? It is created when the company develops a marketing strategies effectively to deliver a product related and non product related benefits that are desired and preferred by the consumer, and this process has to consistent over a period of time, right? So strength is based on, see, strong, how association, the brand, that is the association will be generate, how strong that association is means how much information the consumer have about the brand, and what type of information, the quality, the quantity of information uh, the consumer have about the brand, and it impacts the uh, brand association, right? The more deeply the consumer think about a product, the more is the brand association. What is favorable brand association? The next factor which impacts the association is the favorable brand association. Favorable brand association is created when the marketer develops a marketing strategy effectively to deliver the product related and non product related benefits, right? That are desired and preferred by the consumer. When the marketer develop these strategies which communicates the benefits associated with the product, as well as those benefits which are not directly associated with the product, and the process has to this providing the information, this process of providing the information to the consumer should be consistent over a period of time, right? Then only you can create a favorable brand association. And third factor which could create a brand association, favorite brand association, right? That is a strong brand association is a unique brand association. It is necessary to create a set of meaningful points of different brand association to give a competitive advantage, and establishing an understanding of uniqueness of a brand on a given attribute in comparison to the competitors. In simpler word, unique brand association is unique selling proposition. That is how your brand is different from your, how your product or the brand is different from the competitor's brand or the product, right? So it is important to convey that meaningful points, right, to the consumer to gain the competitive advantage, that is to establish an understanding of the uniqueness of your brand or a given attributes in comparison to the competitors to the competitors in the mind of the consumer. So you have to tell that it is the unique brand association can be created by telling how one's brand is different from the competitors, right? So, what is brand? Now, as we all know that brand, we discussed about the brand. What is brand? Brand is nothing. Now we have to position the brand, right? Brand positioning. So, what is brand? Quick recap. What is brand? What is brand? Brand is, as we said, a brand is a name, a text, a logo, sign, symbol, or a design, or a combination of them intended to identify the good or services, right, of one seller or a group of a seller to differentiate them from the competitors. So what is the brand? Brand is nothing but it could be a term, could be a sign, symbol, name, or a design, or combination of any of these. That what is the intention of this? The It is intended to identify the good or the services of one seller or a group from the other sellers and differentiate them from their competitors, right? Pepsi is a brand, Samsung, Sony, Reliance, all these are the brands, and we can distinguish one. These are we can distinguish one from the others, right? Like Asian Paint, Godrej, Apple, all these are the brands, right? There are various brand elements, right? Brand elements like brand names, slogans, characters, symbols, logos, internet address, all these forms the brand. All these elements, either one or a combination of any could form the brand. Or elements like brand name is their slogan, right? Character or symbol or logos or internet address, all these are the brand elements. Right. A brand element choice criteria, right? How to choose a good elements, right? When you have to create an element, right? When you have to create a brand, it is very important that you should choose your brand elements wisely. There, what is the criteria to choose the brand elements? That is, first is it should be memorable, right? Oh, it should be memorable. That choose the element which one can memorize it, right? It should be memorable, it should be easy to remember, it should be memorable, like uh, LG, right? It should be memorable, it should be meaningful, there should be some meaning associated with that, it should not be vague, right? It should be likable, right? That people should like that, and it should be transferable and adaptable and protectable, right? All these elements, these are the criteria that the element should be memorable, it should be meaningful, it should be likable, it should be adaptable, one should be able to adapt that, it should be protectable, one can protect that, right? And it should be transferable. Right. Now, what is positioning? Brand positioning. We discussed about the brand awareness, right? What is brand awareness? Creating the awareness, that is, what is awareness? Informing the customer about the brand, that is the brand awareness, right? Positioning is the act of designing the company's offering and image to occupy a distinctive place in the mind of target market. I'm repeating it. What is positioning? Positioning, as the name indicate, position. That is, you are trying to create an image or a position in the mind of the customer. Right? Positioning. What is positioning? Positioning is the act of designing the company's offering and image to occupy a distinctive place in the mind of target market. In positioning, see what we do in marketing, first of all we segment the market, right? After segmenting the market, we target the market, right? We target our customer and we try to position our brand in the minds of the target market. So positioning is what? Positioning is the act. Positioning is what? Positioning is the act of what? positioning is an act of designing the company's offering and image, or act of designing the image of the company to occupy a distinctive place in the mind of the target customer or the target market. When the marketer tries to create an image in the mind of the a distinctive image in the mind, or to try to niche out a place, a distinctive place in the mind of the target market, that is known as the positioning. When a company, or when a brand, or when a marketer, right, try to occupy a distinctive place in the mind of the target market, right, that is known as the positioning. Positioning is the act or act, right? So it is the heart of the marketing strategy, because it is very much important. If you don't have, if you are not, if one cannot make a position in the mind of the customer, then you cannot survive in the market. The brand positioning is in the place in the consumer's mind you want your brand to own. It is benefit. It is the benefit you want your consumer to perceive when they think of your brand. Right? So, what is, in short, what is the brand positioning? Brand positioning is the place which the marketer or the company wants to own in the mind of the consumer, right? Right. So it is the benefit you want your consumer to perceive. It could be on the it could be on the benefits of the benefits which you want to convey to the to your consumer, that what type of the benefits they will get when they will use your product, or it is the benefit you want your consumer to perceive when they think of your brands, right? That is there are various ways to niche out the place in the minds of the place in the minds of the target market or the consumer, or it could be on the basis of the perceived benefits, right? A strong brand position means that the brand has a unique, credible, and sustainable position in the minds of consumer. So it is very important. Positioning, that you are the positioning. Positioning is placing. That is the niching out a place in consumer minds, right? About the product or the brand, right? And a strong brand position means what? A strong brand position means that brand has a unique, credible, and sustainable position in the mind of consumer, right? That strong brand positioning is what? That the consumer thinks uniquely, the consumer prefers that product, or trust that brand, or that consumer, that brand has a sustainable position in the mind of the consumer. It stands for that one benefit that your product provides apart from your competitors, right? How can you make a strong brand position, or why a few brands make a strong brand position in the minds of the consumer? Because of the one benefits that the product provides, which is apart from the competitors. That is what benefits the consumer. This is because of the benefits the consumer gets from your brand, right? From your brand, right? How your brand is better than the competitor's brand. It also gives you the direction required to focus the organization and focus on the strategic efforts. So through this, one can decide the objectives, right? It can provide the direction for the organization and for the strategic efforts. So I hope now it is clear what is the positioning, right? Positioning is an act to create, to occupy a distinctive place in the mind of consumer. That is positioning, right? The brand positioning will be the strong, your position will be in the market, or the organization's position in the market. So brand positioning plays a very important role. Rules for positioning, right? How can you position your brand in the minds of the consumer? There are certain rules for positioning, right? There are certain qualities for brand positioning like relevance. First is relevance. Positioning of brand must focus on the benefit that are important to people or reflect the character of the product. Right. First is relevant. How your brand or your product is different from the others. How it is relevant to the consumer. That is positioning of a brand. Focus on the benefits that are important to people or reflect the characters of the product. That is, you can position your brand on the basis of the characters of the product, how that product is relevant to you, how that product can fulfill the needs and wants of the consumer, what are the characters of that product. So positioning of brand must focus on benefits that are important to people or reflect the characters of the people. So this relevance is important, right? So that is positioning the brand, that they must focus on the benefits that are important to the people, on the basis of the benefits which people will receive from the product. That is one of the important factor or important qualities which helps in positioning the brand. Second factor of the quality is clarity. Brand should be positioned in such a way that it is easy to communicate and quick to comprehend, right? So there should be a clarity, right? That brand should be positioned in such a way that it is easy to communicate, that how it should be very easy to communicate about the brand, about the product, about the perceived quality, about the benefits, what the perceived benefits which the consumer will receive, right, from that brand or from that product, and quick to comprehend, so that they can make a quick decision. So it should be clear. Distinctiveness. In current market situation, there are reasonably good number of players vying for a share in the market, facing them to compete on the basis of price and promotion. To overcome such a situation, company needs to offer distinctiveness in its product or the services. See, there are two things, that is differentiation and the distinctiveness. Differentiation is what? That is how your product is different from the others, right? That is how your product is better than the competitor's product, right? That is the differentiation, right? There are many competitors in the market, those who are trying to capture the market share in the market, and they try to compete on the basis of price and the promotion. Few of the competitors plays on the prices, right? They offer a high lower price, or they play on they try to compete on the basis of the promotion, right? So to overcome the situation, it is important that company should offer a distinctiveness in its product, right? Product or these services, that rather than differentiating it, it should be, see, it's a differentiation, and distinctiveness is a continuum, right? Distinctiveness is that your product is distinctive from the others product. You are offering something different which others are not offering, right? How your product, how one can make your product, that what makes your product distinct from the others product, right? So this distinctiveness plays a very important role. Differentiation and distinctiveness is a continuum, right? Differentiation, it can lead from differentiation to the distinctiveness. The differentiation is you differentiate the product, but distinctiveness is that your product is distinctive from the others product, right? You might not get those features in the competitor's product, right? That is the distinctiveness. Then another element which plays a very important role in positioning is coherence. A brand should speak with one voice through all the elements of marketing mix, right? Coherence is required that the whether you are using any mode of marketing mix, that they should communicate a same type of a message, right? Despite of any of the media you use, that is the coherence. This coherence plays a very important role in positioning, right? Then the commitment. Management should be committed to position it has adopted. Once the position is adopted, it takes commitment to see it through. Right, so that the management should be committed, right? They should put in all the efforts to achieve that position, to achieve the goals. When the goals have been achieved, then it takes the commitment to see through. Next is patience. The next element which plays a very important role in positioning is patience, right? It plays Patience plays a very important role in success of brand, as branding is not one day work. It takes years to position the brand in consumers mind. So one should keep patience, courage. Adopting a strong brand position requires a courage, as it is much easier to defend an appeal rather than to generate a sales pitch. So courage is required. It is easier to defend rather than to generate a sales pitch. So all these are the important factors or the rules which one should follow to position a brand. That is the relevant, right? Next is clarity, distinctiveness, coherence, commitment, patience, and courage, right? And the association is important, right? See, we discussed about association at the beginning, right? There are association. What is the association? That is the point of differences, and there is the point of parity, right? How can you associate with that brand? Point of differences is what? Attributes or the benefit consumers strongly associate with the brand, positively evaluate and believe they could not find to the same extent with the competitive brands. This is point of difference, right? That is when the association, the consumer get associated with the product because of the point of differences, because of the attributes or the benefits the consumer will get, and these attributes or benefits strongly associate the consumer with the brands, and where they positively, the consumer positively evaluate the brand, and they believe that they could not find this they could not find to the same extent with the competitive brand. That is, they become associated, the consumer become associated with the product because of the attributes of the brand or the product, because of the benefits which the consumer will get from that brand, or they positively evaluate the brand on the basis of the quality, on the basis of other services provided, and they believe that they will not find the same extent with the competitive brands. And association is point of parity. Association that are not necessarily unique to the brand but may be shared with other brands, right? That is not unique to a brand but may be shared with other brands. Why? Both are important, right? POD's success criteria. What is the POD's? The POD's is point of differences. Success criteria is relevance, that the product should be relevant, should be distinctive, and should be believable. All these are the consumer desirability criteria. Then the point of distinctiveness success criteria, that product should be, or the brand should be relevant enough, should be on which one can rely, right? The product or the brand should have distinctive features or the attributes, and the believability, that they should have a positive evaluation about the brand. Then the deliverability criteria is consumer desirability criteria, and deliverability criteria should be that it should be feasible, right? It should be feasible. Whatever you are promising, it should be delivered. It should be feasible. communicability, that you should communicate the distinctiveness and believability, sustainability. You should sustain in the market. Consumer, what the consumer desire, they desire the relevance, whether that product is relevant enough, and it you can deliver it through the feasibility, that it is feasible, we can deliver that. Consumer wants distinctiveness. All right, distinctiveness, it is important that you should deliver, that you should communicate that distinctiveness. Deliverability criteria is communicate that distinctiveness. Consumer wants that believability, that it should be, that they should have trust, or that the brand should be believable, right? And you can do it through sustainability, sustain in the market. Through sustaining in the market, you can deliver that believability, right? The examples of negatively correlated attributes or benefits, right? See, there are attributes or benefits that are correlated but are negatively correlated, like low price versus high price. When you correlate the attribute on the basis of the price, right, whether the product is low price or the high price, taste versus low calories, right, or nutrition versus good tasting, powerful versus safe, ubiquitous versus exclusive, varied versus simple, all these are the negatively correlated attributes. Major challenges in positionings. There are certain challenges in positioning, right? What are the major challenges what the company finds in positioning, right? Like, how do people become aware of their needs for your product and services, right? Important challenges, that how do people become aware of their needs of for your product and services. It is it is important that marketing is creating need for the product. One of the main function of the marketing is creating need of the product, right? Or in other sense, that is making aware the consumer about their needs and the wants, right? So the challenge is, how do people become aware of their needs for your product or services? How they consumer aware that they need this product? You can do it through promotions. Promotions plays an important role in this, right? How the people become aware of their needs for your product and services. How do consumer finds your offering, right? How can they find your offering? What type of products? What you are offering, right? How do consumer finds your offering? How do consumer make their final selection? The decision making process. How do consumer order and purchase your product or the services? How do they order the product and purchase the product? What happens your product or services is delivered, right? How is your product installed, and how is your product or services paid for, right? All these are the major challenges, right? How is your product stored? How is your product moved around? How it has been stored, how it is has been moved around, what is the consumer really using for your product for, what how the consumer is using your product, what do consumer need help with when they use your product, whether the consumer need any type of help, and if they need require help, what type of the help they require. What about the return and the exchanges, whether they prefer to return or exchange the product, or they prefer to keep the product. How is your product repaired or serviced, right? What happens when your product is disposed of or no longer used? What the people do with the product when they don't use that product or dispose of that product. So it is very important. These things are very important to know, and these are the major challenges in positioning, right? Um, Positioning strategy defines the techniques, tools, and strategies used by a business to differentiate itself from the competitors and gain the market share, right? So what is positioning strategy? Positional strategies are nothing but the techniques. These are the techniques. We discussed it in our last lecture too. Positioning strategy, about the strategies, not about the positioning strategy, about the strategy. What is strategy? That is positioning strategy. It defines the techniques, How can you techniques or the tools or and strategies used by the business to differentiate itself from the competitors, how the business differentiate itself from the competitors and gain the market share. This is known as the brand positioning strategy. Creating a successful brand positioning strategy require a number of steps, like identifying the value. Identify your brand's primary value. Try to distill this value in a mission statement. So to position your brand in the minds of the customer, it is very important to identify your values. What are the brand's primary values? What is the mission of that brand? And try to distill these values, the values of the business or brand, in the mission statement. What is the mission of that business? Right? So it is important to identify the values, identify your brand's primary value, and try to distill these value in the mission statement. Then next is, after identifying the values, identify the competitors. Who all are your primary competitors? What are their values? How do they differentiate themselves? This question helps to understand the competition and thus create our own brand identity. It is important that you should be aware of, the business should be aware about their competitors. They should be able to identify the brands or identify the competitors. Who all are the competitors? What are their value and how do they differentiate themselves? Right? What they are offering. Then the differentiation. Identify what makes your brand different from the competitors. May you have a larger portfolio of a product. Maybe you use ingredient or construction material, or maybe you have a better consumer services. This is the crucial step as it will dictate much of your brand marketing. So it is important that you should differentiate. It is important that identify how will you differentiate or how can you differentiate yourself from the competitors. How you are different from your competitors. It could be on the basis of quality, it could be on the basis of features, it could be on the basis of services, it could be on the basis of packaging, it could be on any other basis. So it is important to differentiate. Then communicate. The last step is communicating your brand values and what makes it different from the different to consumers. This can be done through the advertising or campaign or other marketing mix we discussed in our previous lectures. So important is to communicate your brand's values and to make uh, to make the consumer aware about that. Right? So brand positioning strategy is nothing but the tools, techniques, the organization uses to differentiate itself from the competitors. Right? And small steps are required to take for these brand positioning, that is identify the values, your primary values, identify the competitors, differentiate yourself and communicate that differentiation. Right? So there could be you can position a brand in different ways. That is easily positioned a brand. That is how easily position a, be first. Be first to do something new. Be first, be innovative. How could you be first? By through innovations you can be the first one. And this plays a very important mind. The easy way to get into person mind is to be first. Be innovative, try to make changes. Right? Then only you can you can gain the position in consumers mind. Example is Xerox was the first one, first company, right, which implemented this photocopier machine. Maggie. Now there are many noodle making companies, like, right, but Maggie is the first One, the Hindu newspaper. So easily positioned a brand. Be first if you really want to get into person's mind. Right? Basis and strategies of functioning. What are the bases and the strategies for functioning? On what basis you can position yourself? On the quality positioning, right? On the basis of quality, you can position yourself that the you are providing a better quality or the best quality product. On the basis of quality, you can position yourself. On the basis of values or price, you can position yourself. That is the value or price positioning. That is on the basis of a price you can position yourself, right? Or on the basis of the benefits you are providing to the consumer, you can position yourself. That is the benefit positioning. Or on the basis of the demographic positioning, you can position yourself. On the competitors positioning, that is how you are different from the competitors. Or on the cultural symbol positioning, you can differentiate yourself. Quality positioning. The quality of a given product is one of the most important attribute or the component of a company's brand, and can be combined with other positioning strategies rather easily. Since every business is trying to emphasize its commitment to the quality, a good way to distinguish yourself from the competitor is to narrow your focus on one area of expertise, thereby branding the company as a high quality and trusted specialist. So, on the basis of quality, you can position yourself, right? That you are providing the best quality product to your consumers, right? Right? That is quality based, right? These companies that they distinguish themselves on the basis of the quality, right? A value or price positioning. There are two ways to approach value or price positioning, both of which are crucially dependent on the quality. One approach is to use a high end trick which exploits the psychological belief that the more expensive something is, the more intrinsically valuable it must be. And you can cement your brand as the provider of a high quality, value priced product or the services. See, when you value or price your positioning, it could be on the basis of you can position on the basis of price, whether you could keep the price of your product at higher end or at the lower end. It depends on the quality, right? Or if it's a psychological fact or it's a psychological belief that people consider if they are paying more for a product, right? That expensive product must have could have more intrinsic value, right? So on the basis of price, you can position yourself. Either you can provide, if you want to if you want to cover masses, then usually companies position themselves at the lower price ends. If they want to cater some elites, they position themselves at the higher end. They keep the prices of their product high, right? Like value positioning, like this Domino's, right, delivered within 30 minutes at a moderate price. The price is not that they, if you compare the Domino's with Pizza Hut, you will find that Pizza Hut is costlier than the Domino's. That is, Domino's has positioned itself on the basis of value or price, right? Based on the low price, right? All these product base themselves on the low prices, like wheel or all these big bazaars, right? Low, they have priced themselves on the basis of on low prices. High prices like Apple, right? Or other suitings like Raymond's, and all these are the examples of the high prices. They position themselves on the basis of high price, right? Then next is benefit positioning. On the basis of benefits, you can position yourself, communicating the unique benefit of the product or services, right? Has long been popular brand position. With this strategy, the goal is to highlight your company's most powerful attribute. That is what type of what benefits, what unique benefit the consumer will get, right? That is the toothpaste uses the benefit strategy with effective message that brush with Colgate and prevent cavities, right? A benefit promises that appeals the consumers, right? So on the basis of benefits, that is what all the unique benefits, that is when you communicate your unique benefit of a product or services, right? That is known as that is known as the benefit positioning, like this benefit, that if you will use this product, it will help you in uh, um, uh, it will prevent your cavity, or it will maximize your cavity protection, as well as you will get something with this product. This is benefit positioning, right? Then demographic positioning. On the basis of demographics, you can position yourself, all right? Demographics like age, gender, for positioning in the market, right? Like a small vitamin manufacturer may create vitamin that appeal to the consumers as per their age, right? The company's advertising message may center around special nutritional requirement, right? Similarly, other companies employ a gender related positioning strategies. Their product may be targeted predominantly towards the men or women, right? Example of these companies are like cigarette companies or the beverages, right? All these are the on the basis of demographics, one can position oneself, like your that your head and shoulder, right? Or that your deodorant companies, these are the examples that have positioned themselves on the basis of the sex, right? Or on the basis of age, right? Then again it is demographic, right? On the basis of age, people have position themselves like Johnson and Johnson. Basically, we use they cater for they cater to the babies, right? We use the Johnson's and Johnson's baby products for our babies, right? And like Avon and other wrinkle-free creams and all this, they uh, provide the products for the specific age group, right? To specific age group. Then other could be the competitors positioning. What is competitors positioning? When you position your base on the basis of the competition, that business is nothing if it's not competitive. And with this positioning strategy, a company takes aim at several competitors to demonstrate its superiority among the offering of the same type of product or the services, right? When you position yourself on the basis of that, right? Suppose a car insurance companies often employ this strategy to establish a powerful brand by comparing their rates or services to those of other companies, right? When you compare your product or values or with your competitors product, right? Then that is known as the competitors positioning, right? Positioning on the basis of the competition, like these two, right? These are the examples of competitive positioning. Cultural or symbol positioning. Many companies use deeply entrenched cultural symbols to differentiate their brands from the competitors. The use of characters named Gattu by Asian Paints help them to position itself as a brand that is always ready to help, quick in decision making, and very much young and contemporary, right? So on the basis of there are certain cultural symbols which on the basis of which the companies can position themselves. Repositioning strategy. What is repositioning? Repositioning is process of creating a new or a modified brand or a company or a product position. A company may enhance or modify a position based on the market feedback. So it is important to create a position in the market or in the mind of the consumer. At times, after a certain period of time, it is required to reposition. It is important for to repositioning the brand or the product, right? What is repositioning? Repositioning is what? It is processing of creating a new or a modified brand, right? Or a company or a product position, right? When the company do this, the company reposition the brand or the company or the product on the basis of the market feedback. Company can reposition themselves, right? So these are the examples of repositioning. That is, on the basis of the size, they reposition themselves based on the toughness and endurance, right? You can position yourself on the basis of the toughness, right? How tough that product is, or on the basis of endurance. That is based on the time of the day, right? You can position yourself on the base of the time of the day. When can you use that cornflakes normally used at the during the break, at the time of the breakfast, or the coffee or dairy milk or fruity, all this. And you can position yourself on the base of the substitution, right? Substitutions like sugar free, that is a substitution for the sugar or the complaints, that could be a substitution. So brand positioning is very important. And what is positioning? Again, positioning is nothing but craving out a niche in the mind of the consumer. That is known as the brand positioning. And that's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.